So good morning, people. Good to see you this morning at CBN. What I'd like to do is introduce you as I see you on my screen, the way I see you first. So Rhoda, if you would, please.
Good morning, all from Indianapolis, Indiana. My team and I continue saying it for you when you don't have time to both do it and say it. So we aim to show that you're in the now and in the know through repeated, updated, and very relevant content posted on your blog and on your website. And right now I am looking for a heating and cooling company. So that's the next piece that I want to add to the portfolio. I want to share something interesting that I saw in the newspaper today. It's kind of a humorous piece that said that, you know how Mark Twain once said that we should dance as if no one were watching, but you should zoom, he adds, as if 19 nuns were watching with cell phones. So be careful about your background and about how you behave on Zoom.
Yes, because if it's recorded, remember, they'll tell you they erased it. They're lying. So with that, Adele, I'm going to leave it alone. Adele, if you would, please.
Well, good morning, everybody. Adele Bush here with ASB Business Services, LLC. We're coming to you live from Columbus, Ohio. The problem that my business solves is we help our clients earn more business and new business through the power of telephone outreach. Many people out there, they don't like to make calls and they don't want to make calls, but they don't realize how important it is. Yes, emails and all that other stuff is fine, but you've got to follow up with a phone call. And I can prove to you that it works. A good referral for me would be a sales executive, a sales leader who wants to keep their pipeline full. We can do the research. We can do the lead generation. We can make the calls. And this is what we love to do. And this is what's proven to work for our clients. Adele Bush with ASB Business Services, LLC, Columbus, Ohio. We work anywhere in the United States.
Thank you, Adele. Nick Sullivan, please.
Good morning, everyone. From cloudy Raleigh, North Carolina. I work across the nation. I help businesses discover federal programs and cost reductions that can be significant for the business. Most business owners aren't aware that their property or building can be a source of significant cash. They're not aware that if they hire employees from certain groups, that it could be significant dollars back in the business. And as Keith mentioned, there's significant dollars on top of PPP now with employee retention credits, or commonly known as ERC. So if an owner has 15 minutes, that's all it takes to take a look through my proprietary software to see what potentially might be out there for them to benefit from. Good referrals are commercial property owners, employers, and strategic partnerships are CPAs, commercial real estate brokers, and commercial insurance. So keep that in mind. Nick Sullivan Business Solutions.
Thank you, Nick. Gerald Cowan, please.
Gerald Cowan here in Indianapolis. I'm a lawyer. I do estate planning. I do estate and trust settlement. There's a lot that needs to be done when an estate trust needs to be settled and the person gets promoted, and everybody knows what that means. I also prepare powers of attorney, living wills, healthcare appointments, the complete package. I do a lot of high net worth planning. I do some low net worth planning. Most of my business is one shot. It's not a repeat business month after month. So it's essential that I have new business coming in the door every day, every week, as often as possible. A good referral for me would be a wrongful death or a real serious injury case. I hate to see these things happen, but if they do happen, then people are entitled to receive just compensation. And we get the maximum settlement, and the clients are quite pleased. Thank you very much. Blessings.
Thank you, Gerald. David Garrison, please.
Good morning. I'm Dave Garrison. Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. I work and live down near Martinsville, Indiana, a suburb of Indianapolis. And I work with those that are age 62 and older in utilizing housing wealth as a way to, well, sometimes we'll talk about as insuring risks. We have a lot of risks for those of us that are in that 62-year-old and older category. We have liquidity risk. We have longevity risk. We have lifestyle, long-term care risk. We have legacy risk. So an example of how someone might use their housing wealth would be if someone has at least 50% equity in their home, a reverse mortgage can be used to eliminate a mortgage payment. Just makes it go away. Never have to make another payment as long as you remain in the home. If you own the home outright and clear, the money can be used to do a number of things, such as create a long-term care sinking fund for those days when insurance won't cover all your long-term care needs. You might use the money to educate your grandchildren. You might use the money to give to charity while you're alive. So a reverse mortgage, a good lead for me in a reverse mortgage would be either a wealth advisor or any individual who fits that profile. And surprisingly, an enormous number of Americans do fit that profile. They're just not aware of it, or they've heard things about reverse mortgages that give them the idea that somehow it's a less than on the up and up. This is an FHA guaranteed and insured mortgage. It's the law of the land, and increasingly as Americans are retiring, especially this boomer group that I'm a part of, and realize that Social Security is not going to cover their expenses, or they want to protect their portfolio by not having to draw from it during periods of negative market returns. Housing equity is a great way to utilize it. Dave Garrison, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage.
Thank you, Dave. Zach Fox, please.
Good morning, everyone. Zach Fox with Edward Jones Investments, helping investing needs for individuals and for businesses. I'm located in the Indianapolis market, but I'm licensed and registered in 7 other states. So most likely I can help you or those you're connected to. A good lead for me right now is somebody that wants to look a little bit closer on how they're taking their retirement income. There's some things changed over the last couple of years on that should probably have changed the order in which you're taking your retirement income and from what accounts. So I'm happy to have those conversations. So again, Zach Fox, Edward Jones Investments, and happy to connect with you all.
Thank you, Zach. Gloria Thomas, coming from someplace in the world, I would assume.
Gloria Thomas, coming from Columbus, Ohio, with Secret. We are the lifestyle company. We help people live better, really. We have minerals from the Dead Sea so that you look better. We have clean organic nutrition so that you feel better and actually improve your health. We also have a platform where you can experience the world. So just improve your lifestyle all the way around. A good referral for me is anyone who would like to have better health. That is foremost right now in most people's minds. And if somebody like me can have pretty good health right now, certainly anybody can have health right now. So we'd like to talk to anybody who would like to improve their energy, sleep, lose weight. And if you have issues that are with discomfort, we can help with that as well. So Gloria Thomas, Secret, the lifestyle company.
Thank you, Gloria. All right. Thank all of you for showing up this morning. What I'd like to do is introduce our speaker this week. It's Sharon Melendez. Sharon, you have the floor, and you also are a co-host, so you have complete access to a share screen.
Well, thank you all. And my 2-second pitch is I am Sharon Melendez. I am the CEO of Illumination Station, and we are a educational storytelling nonprofit organization. And we use the stories of unsung American heroes to impart and empower people with tools that they can do to better themselves and overcome obstacles. All right. Well, welcome to Illumination Station. When I was growing up, I had an aunt who made time for me and invested in me. She was instrumental in teaching me how to cook. Some of my passion for cooking comes from being with her and cooking with her. One of our times together, she decided that we would make a Thanksgiving dinner from top to bottom that also included making a full gingerbread house, which was a daunting task for those of you who've made a gingerbread house. When the meal was about to be completed, she asked me, who did I know that might benefit from receiving this meal? I immediately thought of my friend Wyatt. I, being 12 at the time, didn't really know a whole lot of people, but I knew Wyatt had 12 brothers and sisters, and I figured they could probably definitely use the meal, and they were probably hungry. So we packed up the meal and we took it to my friend Wyatt's house. That day, I learned two very valuable things from my Aunt Helen. One was she taught me the joy of cooking and the blessing of sharing it with others in need. I'm passionate about cooking, but I am more passionate about caring for others in need. And that is something that I also impart to my children and my grandchildren, thanks to my Aunt Helen's legacy. And because of that, I'm bringing it here to you today. So welcome to Illumination Station. Why legacy matters. Values and character are reflected through our legacy, and they do matter, especially those with whom we have a sphere of influence. One can be known for things like bravery, perseverance, maybe determination. Maybe you're a trustworthy person or optimistic, or someone will say you're an honest person or a person of integrity. Others are known for things of the opposite nature, like laziness or disrespectful, or maybe they're an angry person or obnoxious, selfish, greedy. You get the idea. When it comes to your friends and family, how do you want to be remembered? Are you living the life that you want people to remember you by? If not, what can you do today to make changes to be a person of quality character? The beauty of your legacy is that we get to determine how we live and how we want to be remembered. We can learn and grow at any stage of life, as we all know, right? We get to choose and we get to determine what matters. Legacy matters because legacy is the story that lives on. In her article, What is Legacy?, Susan V. Bosek from the Legacy Project stated this. She said, legacy is about learning from the past, living in the present, and building for the future. She also points out that legacy is fundamental to what it is to be a human. Research shows that without a sense of working to create a legacy, adults lose meaning in their life. Exploring the idea of legacy offers a glimpse not only into human relationships and building strong communities, but also the human spirit. Legacy matters because it allows us to live a life of meaning and purpose. Okay, I want to try something here. All of you get to interact now. I want you to think of a person who made a positive impact in your life. Now you have that person in mind? Okay, good. Why did that person make a difference? What is it that stood out to you about that person? Now I want you to think about a person who made a negative imprint in your life. What stands out to you about that person? What negative traits may you have adopted because of that person's impact? Well, my mom passed away about 5 years ago. Her name was Perline. Sometimes when I'm behaving a certain way, and I won't share what way that is because then that would divulge more about me, but it was a lot like my mother. And my kids will often say, Mom, you're being Perline again. And then, of course, we would all laugh because we would know that they were right. My mother her legacy left an imprint on my life. Now that you've had time to think about the impacts of both the positive and the negative legacy, take a moment and think about the wisdom that you gained from both people and how their legacy has shaped your views and your thoughts and the way you live. Unconsciously, whether we realize it or not, we adopt many traits from those who've influenced our lives for better or for worse. Now, I want you to take a look back at that first question I asked. How do you want to be remembered? Now, if I was going to take legacy and I wanted to share it with you, what would be the best way to do that? Like the story of my mother and my aunt, at Illumination Station, we use storytelling, the art of storytelling. Storytelling is interactive and it engages the person sharing the story and the person receiving the story. It's how we most often share legacies. According to the National Storytelling Network, storytelling involves a two-way interaction between a storyteller and one or more listeners. The responses of the listeners influence the telling of the story. In fact, storytelling emerges from the interaction and cooperative, coordinated efforts of the teller and the audience. The interactive nature of storytelling partially accounts for its immediacy and impact. At its best, storytelling can directly and tightly connect the teller and the audience. Storytelling invokes multisensory emotion and connection. Because storytelling engages the participation of the audience through the narration, it easily invokes emotion and it leads to connection. The emotion drawn from a person's story can be both inspiring, right, and defeating, depending on the impact of the story being shared. It can invoke possibility or sadness or hope, fear, gratitude, maybe tenacity or grit or bravery, so much more. Connection is where the impact of the story takes shape and can motivate immediate change within us, not only impacting us, but those around us. Storytelling opens the door to the past and it creates opportunity. Do you remember maybe sitting on your front porch or at your kitchen table, wherever your family kind of hangs out, and you'll hear that story of a family member's adventure and you think to yourself, oh my goodness sakes, I have heard this story like a million times, right? And you're like, why? But then later on, you'll do an action and you repeat something because you heard that story and you duplicate it. So it's something that's ingrained in your memory. These shared events and maybe religion or rituals or family connection, all of these formulate through the open doors of storytelling. Life experiences get passed on like recipes. And like recipes, they often take on a new form, making improvements and preserving what mattered. The outcome is dependent on the person receiving the story and what stage they are at the time that the story is heard. But because we can engage over and over with storytelling, we get the opportunity to let the impact take shape over time and prove who we are and how we live. Where legacy and storytelling converge. Well, so what's your story? Think about it. What's the story of you? How is your story going to live on? When you're gone, what are others going to say about you? The next generation, what are they going to think about you? Kids in the future are going to apply what they learned from us today. Our value and our character is going to live on in generations to come. What does your legacy reveal about your character and your value? How is it going to impact your family and friends, impacting future generations? Each day is a gift, and we don't have the guarantee of tomorrow. I want to challenge you today to think about your historical imprint and how you can inspire future generations through your legacy. You can engage now by maybe road mapping your life, either in written form or maybe creating a video or some other creative project to be able to share your story. For me, I wrote a cookbook for my family. I know that's a shocker, right? But it helps me to pair the stories of my life with the recipes that I made and how those two converged. My kids and my grandkids still use my cookbook today to share with their friends. Use your story to impart your value to those you love. Let your stories be a part of someone's quality and character and offer empowerment to see how those that you love can be the best version of themselves. Let your shared experiences and life lessons be the narrative that impacts others for good, motivating them to pass it along. Now I'd like to show you a video about Illumination Station and share a little bit more about who we are and why we do what we do and how we make a difference through legacy storytelling. This is my promo video, so I'm just forewarning you. There is the ask at the end, but just disregard that. But I felt like this would be the best way to communicate who we are at Illumination Station. So here we go.
It's time to feed your mind and imagination with Illumination Station.
Learning is the key to the development of our minds. And even as we age, the learning doesn't stop. How do we learn the things we know? We learn through reading, observation, and engaging with others. Illumination Station was formed to inspire and empower our minds through musical animation that will create an explosion of excitement for learning. With the current social media culture at our fingertips, teenagers and even younger are directly affected by this world of technology. In a 2014 study measuring the impact of media and technology on youth, it was determined that children use 7 hours of media and technology per day, compared to that with 10 hours a day for preteens and more than 18 hours a day for teens. As we move away from quality time with family and friends, we've become a society of instant gratification and busy lives. Storytelling has become a lost art. Since we have become a digital age, both in entertainment and in learning, kids of this generation have become visual learners. Using the current medium of technology, Illumination Station is able to bring to light the factual stories of each unique individual in a fun and entertaining way, reinvigorating a new way of storytelling.
Let them see Jay Walker had a knack for hair.
Illumination Station seeks to engage minds, inspire critical thinking through animated digital educational tools and resources. Learning isn't limited to simply reading a book. Learning can be stimulating, entertaining, and interactive. We want to illuminate young minds by introducing them to unknown or forgotten historical figures of the United States and their inspirational stories of overcoming obstacles that have helped to shape our great nation. These stories are not just stories, but lessons we can learn from. Lessons of bravery, perseverance, determination, creativity, positive thinking, and infinitely more. These individuals inspire us to build a better future and empower us to never give up and pursue our dreams. All content created for Illumination Station begins with extensive research. We invest the time to ensure accuracy in documenting the stories. Throughout the research process, we have the opportunity to engage these amazing trailblazers on a deeper level. From here, the creativity begins. The Illumination Station creative process involves composing an original song in a memorable way that sticks with you and best illuminates each person's narrative. Our team of artists takes the song and develops animated characters that interact with one another to bring to life each of their unique stories. Each character will be followed up with educational resources to further encourage young people to explore and engage on a deeper level.
At Illumination Station, we believe the message of inspiration, hope, and empowerment is critical to the youth of America, especially in a season of unsettling times. The production of each of these educational tools requires extensive time and resources to develop. Your financial contribution will play a critical part in bringing to life these incredible stories of empowerment, illuminating the people of yesterday to inspire the minds of today. Thank you very much for letting me share today.
Well, thank you, Sharon. We got a late
I know
arrival
that's not
coming
your
in.
normal businessy.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Hey, I like the last part, Sharon. I work with not-for-profits, and we have a rule that says pitch all the time, every time. So no problem about that asking for money.
Well,
Hey,
you always ask, what
yeah,
is
you
my
always, you
money?
never know. You never know.
And a donor would definitely be my my thing I could use this week. But.
It's always a pitch. Hey, couple of things really quickly here. Tell us exactly who your target market is and who your target, how do you make money? That's, we are business people. Right. So I always ask the same question. How are you going to monetize this?
Well, so it's twofold. I mean, it's really fourth grade and above is sort of our goal right now, because statistics are showing that fourth graders, 4th to 6th grade, are significantly depressed due to COVID, the masks, and the separation of human connection. And so we really do want to hit that heavy right now. But in light of that, we're really looking at potentially coming alongside of holistic healing for kids in crisis, which we didn't really think about in the beginning, but it's becoming more and more clear with so much anxiety going on that there are a lot of kids that are just really emotionally disconnected. And I think that's just going to be the effects and further effects of COVID for that generation. And so realistically, we're looking at opportunities to either help schools partner with, teachers for extended study, but we're now also looking at the opportunity of being able to help people who are dealing with kids in a healing process and be a part of the end of the equation and the healing piece. And so, equine opportunities are helpful for kids. This would be another avenue to really touch their lives. And then really for the everyday person, these songs, and selfishly, my husband writes the songs and sings them, so I get to enjoy them all the time, but they get stuck in your head, and that's the trick. And so it's that thing that, that repeats itself over and over. And that's where we start to emulate the things that we put inside of our brain. And so it's great for everyone, but definitely we're looking for healing opportunities to use our gifts. And we're also looking for educational buy-in. So.
No problem, because I have an art therapist I want to refer you to.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Because I see your mission a little bit different. And then, we can talk offline about this, sure. But my wife is into ancestry. Have you guys considered doing individual legacy and approaching people to record their own individual legacy?
Well, that funny that you say that, because that is something that we're kind of toying with, the idea of, while we deal with people who have passed on, we're also going to have a segment where we're going to have a blog that has people who are currently walking through, life's trials and transitions and finding, their whole self in that process. So we get to see it sort of playing itself out. But then it's like, we want to document these things so that there are future stories, because some of the characters, we've got 120 people in our queue so far. And a lot of these people, the stories the data is hard to find. And so, and we're not making this stuff up. So you want to encourage people to really document it. And I think that's sort of what came out. And what I wanted to challenge all of you on is, we don't know when our tomorrow is. And so it's really important, if we want to leave something behind for those that we love, at the very least, and then, beyond us. So yeah, I think that there's some element to that we'll probably include too.
Not a problem. Anybody else with questions? Rhoda.
So this is something that an individual person could come to Illumination Station for help creating their own legacy video, or whatever the form is that it takes. Is that correct?
I think we'll do that, but I think what we do is we give prompts. So we don't orchestrate it for you. Kind of like I gave you the idea, you can write it down, you can create a video. We're all about inspiring people with prompts, but we're not about giving you a booklet and saying, here's the 10 steps to accomplish that, because we want you to find that niche that best suits you. And so, it's not a cookie cutter concept. It's very individualized. But that's the kind of the beauty of it. We do it through, we start with these videos. The animated videos are really how it all starts, because that's just the thing that, that grips people quickly. But it's way more than that. And the deeper we get into this, again, we're still a newer nonprofit, but the more engaged we get, the more we can just offer so many more things. So,
but I think I'm still asking Keith's question in a different way. Right now, who are your prospects? Who are the people that need to hear your story, and what will you do for those people?
Yes. So right now, the people who are going to need to hear our story are going to most likely be in the education field currently. And it'll be younger people. And that's to start. As we grow and we develop more product, it will then further be more of a all-encompassing, everybody gets to participate. But for right now, it's strictly, we provide educational tools so that you can take Madam C.J. Walker's story and do a science project on creating her hair product, or you can do an English lesson with the vocabulary words from qualities and traits from her story. And those are the types of things that we're currently doing that really just help out. But they're sensory, so they're multisensory opportunities for learning. And so
I'm still groping for this. Let's say that I were able to put you in front of a school board or someone. So is there something you're going to, in quotes, sell to them? In other words, they're going to buy this package, or someone in a private school, the parent is going to give this as a gift to the organization to be used by the students in that school.
Yeah, so it's an educational interactive platform. So we will actually have educational packet material that we can provide for subject learning, for like if you want to study a period of time, that type of thing. So it's additional learning for schools at this point. But again, those are all things that we're building. It's not things that we've created. So, but we will have completed packets, things you can download, or ways that you can use the internet, I mean, the web page itself. So you will be able to do.
Anyone else with a question? Adele, please.
Hi, Sharon. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. My question is about donations to Illumination Station. If a person wanted to make a donation, could you possibly give an idea of how much it would cost to create one video?
Yeah, so right now from beginning to end, and that's including, research and content to production, it's approximately $23,000 to complete an entire video. Obviously, that decreases over time when you have more people on board and less, because you're constantly moving, but that is from beginning to end, and that includes editing and whatnot. So.
Thank you. Have you ever considered working with companies, with corporations like the Lilly Foundation in Indianapolis?
I'm moving in that direction.
Okay.
I'm poking friends over here in the corner for referrals. So, and introductions, but yes, and I'm working with the storyteller that I met with, Mark, and I'm going to his production this evening, but we're going to create a think tank for storytellers in different avenues like health and education, because I think that there's a lot to be studied in the brain development with children are walking through with this COVID season. And I think that there's going to be a lot of data that will be really helpful. And I think Illumination Station can be a part of, really, because it sparks emotion and feeling. And those are things that kids are not getting right now in school and a lot of times in their interactive circles because of the distance. And so I think this is a way to draw this out in them and be really inspirational. So
someone that I suggest that you come in contact with, if you have not already done so, is Frank Basile, because he endows Storytelling Inc.
Okay, I don't know.
And so he will literally fund beginning storytellers that perform at the History Center here.
Okay.
And that's mostly education for adults, but this is kind of a different take on the same theme.
Right.
And so I can make that, when you and I talk, I'll make that email introduction and you can follow up with him.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Adele, please.
And Sharon, I know you and I have exchanged a few emails, and I do want to introduce you to a colleague of mine who is a grant writer.
Good.
And she writes grants for many, many different types of organizations, and she is interested in what you do. So we'll take that to the next level here.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Nick.
Yes, just getting a better idea of the referrals. What are some of the titles of people, their positions that would be good? You say education. Are we talking about principals, superintendents, or separate entities outside of the typical schools, or what would be a good person to refer you to?
Yeah, I think any of the decision makers who impact curriculum in schools, and even some of the special, needs to opportunities as well. And I think even crisis centers or places that really work on the whole health of healing of children in crisis. I think that's a really important thing to tap into. So, I know I could be so broad and so specific, but I don't want to rule anybody out if there's an opportunity for us to serve them.
Because I heard a study from Brown University talking about, you mentioned kids in crisis, that kids' IQs are going down because of obviously Zoom and even masking, even little babies, because there's lack of stimulus. Yeah, actually, they're reacting to our facial movements and everything, stimulates the brain, so that when we're all covered up, And it can even reduce, it says it's reducing IQ. That's what they said. I mean, hopefully they can get their IQ back with extra stimulus, but, it causes major problems.
Well, and one of the things that we're really working on with our app is that we don't want to create an app where you just stay engaged in your device. So like we want kids to, like Scott Joplin is our next person of interest. And so we're going to do on the app where you can actually create your own song, but part of the song has to be created with things that you have around your house, like pots and pans and walls and things like that to make noise, so that you can inject that into your song. So you're connecting with your world around you and not just staying engaged with the screen. And so I think that interaction forcing you to be, present and fully engaged, I think that's something that we're really seeing is impacting people.
Yeah. Oh, Jerry and Sharon, I want to talk to both of you. I really think that you could work together on the part of this that has to do with leaving a legacy, because
I agree.
here is the legacy in legal terms that you're leaving, okay? And then there's a legacy in emotional and story terms. And you could actually think about getting someone to endow an event that people would come to, that it would be funded up front by someone who believed in this. And then you would raise money. And of course, Jerry would have the capability of getting clients from that, but you would have the capability of getting donations for that and participants as well.
I like that idea.
Yeah, there is such a thing as what's called an ethical will, which more or less sets forth the individual's values and thoughts and what they want their descendants to follow, what they think is important. And I don't prepare a lot of those, but I know they're around and they certainly can be prepared. It's probably very difficult to get somebody to pay for that. They just don't see that as something they want to invest money in. But I agree, it's very important.
Zach, please.
Yeah, just another idea for Sharon, and I don't know if they've explored this at all, but have you guys tried to connect with maybe like Girl Scouts or like American Heritage Girls, or maybe 4-H programs as well?
I reached out to
your product.
I reached out to the 4-H group just to kind of get to know them and sort of network a little bit. Haven't really tapped into the why I was reaching out necessarily, but really, I don't want to pose myself upon people if I don't think it's a value to them. But I haven't done the Girl Scouts. I have done kids, Boys and Girls Club, and had a connection with them. But then everybody got so bogged down with COVID. But I feel like we probably need to have a little bit more to offer them at this point. And unfortunately, I need to be able to develop it. So I need dollars to develop so that I can then truly offer it. So right now I have 15 people who are working voluntarily for a year, and they've been very consistent. And they go from former educators down to artists and animators. And so, but we're running thin on the volunteer circuit. So I don't want to lose quality people. And I'm seeing that we really can make a difference. So.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I brought up how you're going to monetize this. At some point, you got to pay for this stuff.
No, I agree. We will have subscription. It will be a subscription model at some point, but for right now, we want it to be as free as possible to people to access it, so that, that we can create that real interest and need. And so, but it's a grassroots thing, so it takes time.
Yeah.
And we're in it for the long haul. We're not going anywhere. So.
Okay. If anybody's got any other ideas they want to give to Sharon, just remember her information is in the email that was sent out, and it'll be in the follow-up. Sharon's really, really interesting and a real I'm trying to define it and figure out how to pitch it, and then also how to monetize it. Once again, this at the end of the day, I always have a saying that if I can't make money, it don't make sense. And so, we got to make sure that to be a long-term business and be viable, you got to be able to monetize these ideas in a consistent manner. Because as you brought up, volunteers are great. You know how I feel about volunteers. Call them maybes, right? Maybes.
Yep.
Hey,
Fortunately, I've had a lot of good maybes.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be good forever.
No, they will not. Just before we get out of here, hey, Tony Havix, are you available? Are you just, hey, buddy, good to see you. Why don't you give us your intro, a minute, and your referral, Tony?
So my name is Tony Havix. I'm with PH2. We do environmental health and safety consulting and forensic engineering. We try and manage people's risks so they can go to sleep at night. That runs everything from asbestos to zeolites and everything in between. I took a vacation in Colorado for a couple weeks, got back and had a sinus infection that dropped into my throat, took my voice out, dropped into my chest, took my chest out, put me in the hospital for a day. And so I've been sleeping about 12 to 16 hours a day. And no, 4 negative COVID tests. It's not COVID. I'm tired of COVID. It's not COVID.
I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, no, it's not. But I've been trying to just get myself back into the saddle and get my voice back. So I've been trying to limit how much I talk as well.
No problem.
Sharon, I did want to ask you. Given the propensity for autistic kids to be so tangible, visual, multisensual, have you looked at that as an avenue for special ed opportunities inside of, say, school districts and the like? Because we've got friends who've got plenty of kids who are in that range.
That is a huge target audience for us. And one of our artists is an autistic artist. And it is an interesting, it takes a little longer in working with him, but he is a brilliant mind. And so that is something that, we really do feel very, very passionate about doing as well. So, yes.
Okay. Well, I think this was really, really interesting. Once again, this is why we do this. The options and the things that you're doing, Sharon, I had not quite thought about them in that way. We'll talk offline. I still think that there's an opportunity to do personal legacies. And they don't cost. My problem is the decision makers have to drop 20 to 25K. They're going to say, why? And, obviously your story will be great, but if I got a lot of things to think about, I'm going to really, really think about adding this other educational experience or whatever it is. But who knows, right? That's what it's all about. So anyway, if anybody else has got any other questions for Sharon or something, her information is available and then her contact is in the information. It is good to see all you guys. Tony, it's good to see you back again with us, buddy. Mm-hmm. Even though you say it's not COVID, I know it's not COVID, right? So we're not going to worry about that. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Go out and make some money and then send some contributions to Sharon, right? So we can make this thing work. I'll see all you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.